Have you ever promised yourself, tomorrow will be different? Tomorrow, I'll wake up early. Tomorrow, I'll start. Tomorrow, I'll change. But tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. And one day, tomorrow never comes. This is the story of a man who had nothing special. No talent, no money, no connections. But he discovered one quiet secret that most people sleep right through. Stay with me until the end, because the moment that changed everything happened at 5:03 in the morning. Daniel was 30 years old, a delivery driver in a busy city. Every morning, his alarm rang at 7:30. Every morning, his hand found the snooze button before his eyes even opened. He'd roll over, pull the blanket tighter, and fall back into sleep. By the time Daniel actually got up, the morning was already gone. Cold water on his face, banana in one hand, shoe in the other. Rush, stress, chaos, every single day. One afternoon, Daniel walked into a small bookstore cafe to drop off a package. The woman behind the counter, Leah, smiled and signed the receipt. Then she pointed to the window. Outside, an older man sat alone at a table. He was writing quietly in a notebook, a cup of tea beside him. "That man comes here every morning," Leah said softly. "Every day at 5 a.m. before the city wakes up." Daniel looked at the man. Something about him was different. He wasn't rushed. He wasn't stressed. He looked like a man who had already won the day, and the day had barely started. "Why would anyone wake up at 5?" Daniel asked. Leah smiled. "Maybe because the world belongs to those who wake up before it gets busy." Daniel laughed it off, but that image stayed in his mind. 2 nights later, his phone buzzed at 4:58 a.m. A message from Leah. "Come to the cafe balcony at 5. Trust me." Daniel stared at the screen. He almost ignored it, but something, curiosity maybe, pulled him out of bed. He put on a hoodie and walked into the silent street. The city looked completely different. No traffic, no noise, just streetlights and birdsong. He reached the cafe. Leah stood on the balcony with 2 cups of tea. Beside her, the same man from the window. "I'm Marcus," the man said simply. Marcus pointed down at the street below. A bakery worker carrying fresh bread. A jogger circling the park. A vegetable truck quietly unloading. "People think the day begins at 9, Marcus said. But life quietly begins much earlier. Then Marcus opened his notebook and drew a simple rectangle. "This is your day," he said. He shaded 2 small blocks at the very beginning. "These 2 hours, they belong to you before the world asks for anything." Daniel looked at the drawing. Something about it felt true. "Try it for 30 days, Leah said gently. 1 hour to learn, 1 hour to move and plan. Daniel looked at the quiet sunrise, slowly painting the sky orange. 30 days, he said quietly. The next morning, the alarm rang at 5. The blanket felt warm. His eyes felt heavy. But he remembered the promise. He sat up. The apartment was silent. The street outside was still. He opened a notebook and wrote 3 things he wanted to change. Then he opened his laptop and began learning. It was hard. Some mornings felt impossible. One morning he almost quit, but he forced himself up and walked outside. The sky was deep purple. Birds were singing, and something strange happened. His mind felt clear. Ideas appeared that never came during busy afternoons. He wrote them down.
Week by week, something was building. Not just skill, but belief. By week 4, Daniel had built a simple website for a local shop. He showed it to Marcus and Leah at the cafe. Marcus studied the screen for a long moment. Then he looked up. "You built this in your morning hours." Daniel smiled, 2 hours at a time. Marcus leaned back and said quietly, "You borrowed 2 hours from the morning, and now your future is paying interest."
6 months later, Daniel no longer drove deliveries. He worked as a freelance digital marketer. He had clients, he had confidence. He had a morning that felt like his. One day, he stood on that same balcony again, tea in hand, sky glowing gold. He watched the city slowly wake up below, and he smiled, not because of the money, not because of the work, but because of the quiet confidence that came from one simple thing: winning the morning.
Think about your own morning. Think about that one small moment when the alarm rings. Sleep or start. The 5 a.m. habit is not about suffering. It is not about being special. It is about creating 2 quiet hours that belong only to you. 2 hours a day becomes 14 hours a week. That becomes over 700 hours a year. Enough to learn a new skill, build something real, change the direction of your life.
So tomorrow morning, when that alarm rings, for just 1 second, because somewhere between the dark of night and the first light of morning exists an hour that can quietly reshape your life. The only question is, will you sleep through it?